What's that you're holding, sweetheart? What's that you're holding, sweetheart?
It's a spoon, Mom. It's a spoon, Mom.
That's right. And what do we usually use a spoon for? That's right. And what do we usually use a spoon for?
We use it to eat things like soup, rice, or cereal. We use it to eat things like soup, rice, or cereal.
Can you tell me what this is? Can you tell me what this is?
That's a fork. That's a fork.
Good. And when do we use a fork instead of a spoon? Good. And when do we use a fork instead of a spoon?
We use it when eating solid food, like meat or vegetables. We use it when eating solid food like meat or vegetables.
What about this one? Be careful. What about this one? Be careful.
That's a knife. That's a knife.
Exactly. And what do we use a knife for? Exactly. And what do we use a knife for?
We use it to cut food into smaller pieces. We use it to cut food into smaller pieces.
What's this on the table? What's this on the table?
It's a plate. It's a plate.
Yes. Why do we need a plate? Yes. Why do we need a plate?
Because we put our food on it when we eat. Because we put our food on it when we eat.
What's that next to your plate? What's that next to your plate?
It's a cup. It's a cup.
Right. And what can you drink from a cup? Right. And what can you drink from a cup?
Water, juice, or even milk. Water, juice, or even milk.
Do you know what this big appliance is? Do you know what this big appliance is?
That's a refrigerator. That's a refrigerator.
Correct. And why do we need a refrigerator? Correct. And why do we need a refrigerator?
It keeps our food fresh and cold. It keeps our food fresh and cold.
What's this in the kitchen that we cook on? What's this in the kitchen that we cook on?
That's a stove. That's a stove.
Yes, and what kinds of food can we cook on it? Yes, and what kinds of food can we cook on it?
Almost anything, like soup, rice, or fried food. Almost anything, like soup, rice, or fried food.
What about this smaller machine here? What about this smaller machine here?
That's a microwave. That's a microwave.
Good. And why do people like using a microwave? Good. And why do people like using a microwave?
Because it heats food very quickly. Because it heats food very quickly.
Do you remember what this is called? Do you remember what this is called?
It's a blender. It's a blender.
Exactly. And what can we make with it? Exactly. And what can we make with it?
We can make smoothies or blend fruits. We can make smoothies or blend fruits.
What's this machine that helps us with laundry? What's this machine that helps us with laundry?
That's a washing machine. That's a washing machine.
Right, and how does it help us? Right, and how does it help us?
It washes our clothes automatically. It washes our clothes automatically.
What do we use to clean the floor when it's dry? What do we use to clean the floor when it's dry?
We use a broom. We use a broom.
Yes, and what do you do with it? Yes, and what do you do with it?
I sweep the dust into a pile. I sweep the dust into a pile.
And what about when the floor is dirty and wet? And what about when the floor is dirty and wet?
Then we use a mop. Then we use a mop.
Correct. And how is it different from a broom? Correct. And how is it different from a broom?
A mop uses water to clean better. A mop uses water to clean better.
After sweeping, what do we use to collect the dirt? After sweeping, what do we use to collect the dirt?
A dustpan. A dustpan.
Exactly. And where do we put the dirt after that? Exactly. And where do we put the dirt after that?
Into the trash can. Into the trash can.
What's this electric cleaning machine? What's this electric cleaning machine?
It's a vacuum cleaner. It's a vacuum cleaner.
Right, and why is it useful? Right, and why is it useful?
Because it can suck up dust very quickly. Because it can suck up dust very quickly.
What do you use after taking a shower? What do you use after taking a shower?
I use a towel. I use a towel.
Yes, and what do you do with it? Yes, and what do you do with it?
I dry my body and hair. I dry my body and hair.
What do you sleep on at night? What do you sleep on at night?
I sleep on a pillow. I sleep on a pillow.
And why is it important? And why is it important?
Because it supports my head and makes me comfortable. Because it supports my head and makes me comfortable.
What keeps you warm while sleeping? What keeps you warm while sleeping?
A blanket. A blanket.
Exactly. Do you like thick or thin blankets? Exactly. Do you like thick or thin blankets?
I like soft and warm ones. I like soft and warm ones.
What do we sit on in the dining room? What do we sit on in the dining room?
A chair. A chair.
Yes, and a sitting posture important. Yes, and a sitting posture important.
Yes, we should sit straight. Yes, we should sit straight.
What's the flat surface we eat on? What's the flat surface we eat on?
That's a table. That's a table.
Correct. And what else can we do on a table? Correct. And what else can we do on a table?
We can study or work on it. We can study or work on it.
What gives us light at night? What gives us light at night?
A lamp. A lamp.
Right. Why is it useful? Right. Why is it useful?
It helps us see clearly in the dark. It helps us see clearly in the dark.
What do we turn on when it's hot? What do we turn on when it's hot?
A fan. A fan.
And how does it help? And how does it help?
It makes the air cooler. It makes the air cooler.
What if it's very hot? What if it's very hot?
Then we use an air conditioner. Then we use an air conditioner.
Yes, and is it stronger than a fan? Yes, and is it stronger than a fan?
Yes, it cools the whole room. Yes, it cools the whole room.
What do you use to change TV channels? What do you use to change TV channels?
A remote control. A remote control.
Right. Is it convenient? Right. Is it convenient?
Yes, I don't need to stand up. Yes, I don't need to stand up.
What do we watch movies on? What do we watch movies on?
A television. A television.
And when do you usually watch TV? And when do you usually watch TV?
In the evening after homework. In the evening after homework.
What helps us know the time? What helps us know the time?
A clock. A clock.
Why is it important? Why is it important?
So we don't be late. So we don't be late.
What do you look into when you brush your hair? What do you look into when you brush your hair?
I look into a mirror. I look into a mirror.
Right. And why is a mirror useful? Right. And why is a mirror useful?
Because it helps me see myself clearly. Because it helps me see myself clearly.
What do you use to clean your teeth every day? What do you use to clean your teeth every day?
I use a toothbrush. I use a toothbrush.
Good. And how often should you brush your teeth? Good. And how often should you brush your teeth?
At least twice a day. At least twice a day.
What do you put on your toothbrush? What do you put on your toothbrush?
Toothpaste. Toothpaste.
And why do we need toothpaste? And why do we need toothpaste?
It helps clean and protect our teeth. It helps clean and protect our teeth.
What do you use to wash your hands? What do you use to wash your hands?
I use soap. I use soap.
Exactly. When should you wash your hands? Exactly. When should you wash your hands?
Before eating and after using the bathroom. Before eating and after using the bathroom.
What do you use to wash your hair? What do you use to wash your hair?
I use shampoo. I use shampoo.
Good. And how often do you wash your hair? Good. And how often do you wash your hair?
A few times a week. A few times a week.
What do we use to hang clothes in the closet? What do we use to hang clothes in the closet?
We use a hanger. We use a hanger.
Right. Why is it useful? Right. Why is it useful?
It keeps clothes neat and wrinkle-free. It keeps clothes neat and wrinkle-free.
What do we use to make clothes smooth? What do we use to make clothes smooth?
An iron. An iron.
Yes, and when do we usually iron clothes? Yes, and when do we usually iron clothes?
Before going out or to work. Before going out or to work.
Where do we store our clothes? Where do we store our clothes?
In a wardrobe. In a wardrobe.
Correct. What else can we keep there? Correct. What else can we keep there?
Shoes or bags sometimes. Shoes or bags sometimes.
What do we use to carry things around the house? What do we use to carry things around the house?
A basket. A basket.
Good. What can you put in it? Good. What can you put in it?
Clothes, toys, or groceries. Clothes, toys, or groceries.
Where do we throw away garbage? Where do we throw away garbage?
In a trash can. In a trash can.
Exactly. Why should we use it properly? Exactly. Why should we use it properly?
To keep the house clean and tidy. To keep the house clean and tidy.
What do you use to write your lessons? What do you use to write your lessons?
A notebook. A notebook.
Right. And what do you usually write in it? Right. And what do you usually write in it?
Notes, homework, or ideas. notes, homework, or ideas.
What do you write with? What do you write with?
A pen. A pen.
Good. Can you also use something else? Good. Can you also use something else?
Yes, I can use a pencil too. Yes, I can use a pencil too.
What do you use to cut paper? What do you use to cut paper?
Scissors. Scissors.
Be careful when using them. Why? Be careful when using them. Why?
Because they are sharp. Because they are sharp.
What do you use to stick things together? What do you use to stick things together?
Glue. Glue.
Right. When do you usually use glue? Right. When do you usually use glue?
During crafts or school projects. During crafts or school projects.
What do you use to measure length? What do you use to measure length?
A ruler. A ruler.
Good. What can you measure with it? Good. What can you measure with it?
Lines, paper, or small objects. Lines, paper, or small objects.
What do we use to enter or leave a room? What do we use to enter or leave a room?
A door. A door.
Yes, and what should you do when you leave? Yes, and what should you do when you leave?
Close it properly. Close it properly.
What lets fresh air and light into the room? What lets fresh air and light into the room?
A window. A window.
Right. When should we open it? Right. When should we open it?
When we need fresh air. When we need fresh air.
What do we use to lock or unlock the door? What do we use to lock or unlock the door?
A key. A key.
Good. Why should you keep it safe? Good. Why should you keep it safe?
So we don't lose it. So we don't lose it.
What do you use to carry your things outside? What do you use to carry your things outside?
A bag. A bag.
Yes. What do you usually put in your bag? Yes. What do you usually put in your bag?
Books, water, and personal items. Books, water, and personal items.
What do you use to hold water or juice? What do you use to hold water or juice?
A bottle. A bottle.
Right. Why is it important to carry one? Right. Why is it important to carry one?
So I can stay hydrated. So I can stay hydrated.
What do we use to fry food in the kitchen? What do we use to fry food in the kitchen?
A frying pan. A frying pan.
Correct. What can we cook with it? Correct. What can we cook with it?
Eggs, meat, or vegetables. Eggs, meat, or vegetables.
What do we use to cook soup or boil water? What do we use to cook soup or boil water?
A pot. A pot.
Yes. When do we use a pot instead of a pan? Yes. When do we use a pot instead of a pan?
When cooking liquids or large meals. When cooking liquids or large meals.
What do we put food on when cutting it? What do we put food on when cutting it?
A cutting board. A cutting board.
Right. Why is it important to use one? Right. Why is it important to use one?
To keep things clean and safe. To keep things clean and safe.
What do we use to boil water quickly? What do we use to boil water quickly?
A kettle. A kettle.
Good. What do we usually use hot water for? Good. What do we usually use hot water for?
Tea, coffee, or cooking. Tea, coffee, or cooking.
What do we use to wash dishes? What do we use to wash dishes?
A sponge. A sponge.
Exactly. And what else do we need with it? Exactly. And what else do we need with it?
Dish soap and water. Dish soap and water.